away.
All right. Thanks, Phil. You guys can hear me okay? I'm messing with my audio uh like for the last week, and I don't know if it's working or not. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Um yeah, thanks, Phil. Again, I appreciate it. We are in week three of trying to take over the B2B world here and kind of I want to say kind of using the 401k as the entry point for multiple reasons. One, it's public record, which we spoke about that before. I'm going to go next week is going to be full of all sorts of digging into prospecting, where to find actual free leads. I wouldn't say they're warm leads, but you can actually find businesses and find 401k plans. I'm going to touch on it just slightly here. Actually, I might well just show it. There's a resource page that Phil is, I think, going to send out, or maybe hasn't yet, or will be. If I can figure out what the heck screen I'm looking at. Oh, geez. Now I got to switch screens to share this to you. One
No,
second.
I can see it. It says
Oh, you
tools and
can. Okay,
calculators.
got it.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. And I was gonna send it after the culmination of everything. So you're not
I'll just
stealing any thunder. Dive in. It's
I'll
totally
just
fine.
brush over it because there's a few things I'm that are being added here in the next week anyway. But this is something you guys are going to have access to. It's full of different resources, tools, calculators, downloadable PDFs, just like basic knowledge, so you can go in and sound like you know what you're talking about when you're talking about 401k plans. Um, Tax credit calculator. This is going to be awesome. Will actually show you next week, but you can actually instantly print out a PDF with the tax credits that they will be available to the business owner. I said that a little weird. Sorry. What is available to the business owner as a PDF, totally unbranded with your name on it. That's really cool. What kind of plan should they qualify for? And this is just a growing list of niche industries that are completely unbranded. You can either print they're printable, um, uh, or you can just do PDF and put your info on it. With different, if you guys have an industry you want to add to it, let me know. I'll get my team to do that. This is just basic information on different kinds of plans. And these are just explainer videos. You can like bookmark this. We'll send it to you. This is what the prospecting tool for next week. This is a phenomenal resource to learn taxes, to learn about taxes. That is absolutely number one in that world. And then you can schedule meetings with me and stuff like that. So um, we'll launch that next week. So I want to go over a little bit more in detail with you guys next week. But so today I'm just going to do a really quick review of the flow of the conversation with business owners. I'm going to go over, actually, there's three case studies I'm going to go over with you, kind of like a small, medium, and large business model. Um, Basically, somewhat of some businesses that we've actually worked on in the last several months. And then we're going to talk about what we're doing next week, and we'll obviously open Q&A beyond that. But again, write down your prospects, write down your prospects, anybody you can think of, because you're going to be given a lot of tools next week. All right. So again, real quick on the on the review, this is like the basic model of different kinds of plans. This is mainly for business owners with employees. If you, this is somewhat similar to if you're just a solo 401k, you have no employees, maybe just contractors, but they can do all these things. So it'd be just like a basic IRA. You can do a simple IRA if you're solo. 401k with profit sharing and advanced plan. This is where we want to get to with these business owners, regardless of what you see in front of you. Like if it's, don't judge the book by its cover, if you will. Some of the most blue collar businesses on the planet make it the most profit I've come across. So this is kind of where we want to get to in the conversation is this advanced plan design. You will hear me refer to the upside down three-tiered wedding cake on a regular basis, even on a phone call earlier today, Phil, with someone on your team, also known as a retirement plan stack. But verbally, this is how I explain it on a phone call, is an upside down three-tiered wedding cake. Smallest level is the 401k, then the profit sharing, and then the advanced plan options, which could be qualified or non-qualified, depending on the situation. There is, I'm just going to mention one. John Hancock, for example, is one of the companies that anybody with a life license can use. Voya, Principal, they allow all three stacks. So even if we're not doing just straight life insurance with any of these folks, and we're just doing the cash balance plan because they need the pre-tax contributions, you will get paid on all three layers of that stack because of the way we build it over at John Hancock. Okay, so just a quick little insight there. This top layer could be cash balance. It could be anything with the IUL, 7702 executive bonus plans, LTIPs, things like that. We'll kind of cover that later. But real quick, this is the flow of the conversation that you have with the business owners. Step one is consultation. We're going to dive into that here in a second. How do you pull all this information from them? Then we get into the plan design part of it, like build that plan, that retirement plan stack to show them. Implementation is just onboarding and gathering the information like the census and things like that. Understanding the guts of the business, who the key employees are. Do you have a business partner? Things like that. And then the wrap-up call is where you've pinned all these things in your head during the onboarding and implementation. And then we come back and say, all right, let's talk about this. You said you needed more contributions. You have some risk management that we got to talk about with your buy-sell agreement, things like that. It comes up in the wrap-up call and beyond there. So, two questions. Everybody has these two questions. We start every single conversation with these same two questions, and you wash, rinse, repeat. It's the same conversation, regardless of who you're talking to. Number one, why are you talking to me? What are you here for? What is the main objective of the plan? It's basically multiple choice, and you can write these down and think about this, but you'll hear me say these in a meeting. If you bring me into a meeting, it's why are you here? Are you trying to stockpile into your own savings? Are you trying to save money on taxes, or are you here for the absolute reason for recruiting and retention of your employees? A lot of the times that's like those state mandate folks where you're like, all they want is a better plan than what the bag of IRAs are offering. Okay, that's it. So, or is it all the above? And again, 50% of the time, it's all of the above. It's going to be all of those answers. They want it all. So the final question, regardless of what they say in number one, is how much money, how much do you as the owner want to contribute? Okay. How much do you want to contribute as the owner? If I'm on the phone, there's a lot of gatekeepers in the B2B world, right? The office manager, the HR rep, whatever. And I do webinars. I even did it yesterday on the tax credit webinar. And I said, I understand that you're gathering information for the owner, but all this has to do with them. I need to know what they want to do. And we have to have a conversation with them, because sometimes you don't even get to that part, because all they're doing, a lot of people think all 401ks are created equal, and they're what's the best price? And that is so far from the truth. We have to get them to understand that. And the only person who's going to understand that is the business owner. All right. So let's start with case study number one. This is like the company that is just starting out. All right. This is maybe the state mandate client, the one that is doing going through these questions here. Look it up here. It says owner's goals. So this is question 1 and 2. So what is your main objective? Why are you here? Recruiting and retention. That's why they're here. They're maybe still growing the business. They don't have they're not worried about themselves. They're more worried about the business, which also means, and number 2, they say not much, if any. Now, we also have to remember that might mean they just don't want to invest in the 401k. Okay. So this is very similar to a business that I just finished yesterday. And I have not even talked about it, but we ended up doing a He came to me. He said, I want to do something better than the IRAs that are available. I'm not going to put any money in it. I'm just purely for the business owner. If you stop there and don't ask any more questions, then you're doing a very transactional situation here, and that's it. But what I found out is he has a 700, actually, as of yesterday, $2 million profit. He just doesn't like mutual funds, which he thinks all you can do is in mutual funds, which you can't. You can do real estate, cryptocurrency, everything inside of a 401k, but he does commercial development, and we're implementing $150,000 per year into a executive bonus structure for him, 7702, $150,000 a year for the next 10 years so he can reinvest it later. So if I stopped at just 1 and 2 and didn't ask any more questions, you move on. So you have to dig in a little bit deeper. Plan design. Because let's assume it's not that guy, right? That guy who's got a $700,000 profit. Let's assume it's a start out. That's it. So we're going to build a plan that's budget conscious, focused on retention. I won't go into how the sausage is made on that right today because there's too much information. But during implementation, we're also going to see if are there multiple owners, are there key employees. We're going to collect the census. We're going to do that every single time, no matter what. And then on the wrap-up call, we're going to maybe talk about, let's do a business valuation, buy-sell agreements, if there's multiple business owners, key person policies, so on and so forth. The same exact process time after time. Now, let's pretend we've implemented this plan, okay? We figured out what kind of 401k plan, but now we want to go beyond that, right? Because there's always something to do beyond the 401k. It's the entry point. If you just finish with the 401k, great. You have a client, it's sticky. They're going to stick with you for years. You get recurring revenue, and there's always something coming because businesses evolve year after year, month after month. Their business model changes. They grow a different department, everything. So business valuations done through Principal Financial, which you guys have access to. I want to show you that next week on what you can do with it. It's awesome. You give them 3 years of tax returns, and they spit out something that looks like this, along with what the value of their business is. They will love you forever if you tell them what the business value is, and you come back higher than you think. Why I love this is because it tells me a lot right here. So let's assume this is an S Corp. I can see the profit on their 1120S. I can see how much they pay themselves. I can also gather all this stuff, some of it through their census, but I can't see their profit, their net profit, until I see their tax returns. So this is a great way to get those tax returns in your hand without actually saying, can I just look at your tax returns? Because everyone's going to be like, that's creepy, right? No, they want to, let's give them something back, which is the valuation. So I can see in 2023, this business only has about $68,000 profit. They're paying themselves $72,000. It's super new business. They didn't even pay themselves last year. This is actually only based on 2 years. It's a brand new company in this situation. They pay themselves this much salary, and that's their profit. Not a ton of room. This is their pre-tax profit. So they still have to pay their taxes on that. So there's not a ton of room there. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on something like key person policies, maybe the buy-sell agreement, where it's maybe just funded with term insurance, disability insurance, things like that. Nothing crazy, but enough to keep them happy and keep them with us for a long period of time. So this is like the base level business, but there's also maybe they have stuff outside of the company too that they can start funding, some of these IULs and other things like that. Okay. So this is like entry level. If you do this over and over and over again, this is a great place to start. Okay. Along with the business valuation, they're going to ask for who's the owners. Do they have children in the business? Who's going to take over the business? And they literally calculate this for you and say, this is how much you need. And there's numbers behind the reasoning. Okay. It's not just saying, let's just arbitrarily do 500 grand or $1 million. There's actually reasons behind it. So let's move on to the next one because these are getting a little bit more fun. So we're going to call this a more successful business. The owners on answer 1 and 2 are number one. Their number one reason is owner contributions. They want to save as much as possible because they have a decent sized profit. And I'll show that to you here in a minute. We're going to focus on maximizing the owner contributions and minimizing what the employees are getting. Okay. This is through like our plan design. I'm going to show you an example here in a little bit with the actual numbers of a super successful business, but it kind of all flows downhill anyway. So the idea is we care about the top level, which is the ownership, and only offer what is mandatory basically to the business owner or to the employees. We're going to go through the same things. Are there owners? Same thing. And then wrap up, we're going to actually add contribution projections. We want them to see what all this is going to look like on the tail end because of multiple reasons. I'll show you here in a second. And we might even implement other tax strategies like R&D tax credits or whatever industry specific tax credits, things like that. So there's a lot to go into that. So on this one, additional contributions, right? They want to go as much as humanly possible. They want to put as much money in the plan as possible. That's that top level here, right? So we're going to do the 401k, profit sharing, and add an advanced option on top of it. We're going to look at the buy-sell agreements and the key person policies also, but we're going to focus on what they're actually, what's really driving them for this plan is the advanced plan options here. When I say contribution projections, we have a financial planning software that we can do these for everybody too. It is a good idea to actually have some sort of low-level projection or planning software to show them these kind of things, but we have it as well, and I'd be happy to use it, help you with that. But basically, all we're doing is plugging in what their contributions are going to look like, and maybe there's going to be 4 million, maybe there's going to be 20 million, maybe there's going to be 50 million, but it gets them to really understand where all these contributions are going to go. So going back to this top, if they are saying, I want to do all pre-tax contributions, I've seen this number go real high, and this also will show us their required minimum distributions that they have to pull at age 75 or 72, whatever age they are. And I'm not kidding you. I've seen them to where they're $1 million a year, $1 million required minimum distribution. And I can see exactly how much extra they are pulling out just because they chose pre-tax. This is the Power of Zero stuff. Power of Zero. This is 100% that book. And I would, if you haven't read it, read it. But when you say, look at all this, look at the taxes you're going to be paying. Let's, instead of doing these pre-tax contributions, let's pivot to something more of a non-qualified after tax that mimics a Roth. But let's try to offset some of those deductions with some other tax strategies that we have in our back pocket. Okay. Which is part of that plan that I'm going to show you next week. And then obviously do a business valuation. These are the businesses that are maybe going to be more like sub 500,000 profit, under $500,000 profit. So this one in particular has $125,000 profit. They're paying themselves $135,000 in salary. Their business valuation was over $1 million. So this tells us we have a good chunk of money to work off of that we can implement those 7702 plans, the non-qualified plans for the business owner instead of going all pre-tax. Okay, this gives us room. This tells us exactly how much money we can work off of right here from the business valuation that Principal Financial offers to everybody. So this is actually a client that we worked on recently. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis on who this was. This was a G1 owned the business, so Generation 1. So mom and dad owned this business. The son is 25 years old. He's just coming in. He's going to be the successor of the business. So we did a basic safe harbor because we wanted the owners to max out. I won't get into that right now, but it allowed them to do something into the plan. It's basically, you do this for your employees, you can max out. Great. We did a 7702 for the ownership for mom and dad, G1, because they needed, this is Power of Zero. I literally gave them the book, Power of Zero. They read it over the weekend and said, yes. I'm not kidding. It was that easy of a sale. That book is phenomenal. And then what we did is they are expanding their business into another, this is like a culinary research and development company, whatever that means. I don't know what that means, but they help big restaurants create the protocol and the process for the restaurant so they can have be efficiencies, right? So they're expanding into something else. It's called an LTIP, long-term incentive program, okay, or plan, long-term incentive plan. And what we did is we're putting in $50,000 a year into a plan where we use the 25-year-old son as the surrogate. Okay, we're putting the life policy on the son who's 25 years old, $50,000 a year into that the business owns, and we write up a legal document which Principal Financial has boilerplate legal documents that you can hand them and say, go to your attorney and personalize this. And the business owner goes to their new executive or the new employee and says, if you're with me for 10 years, we're going to give you $150,000 flat. This is what you get. They don't have to go home and say, I got a life insurance policy on me when they tell their spouse about their new job offer. I don't know what it means. It's confusing, but I'm going to get paid X amount per year. That's super confusing. Use a surrogate. It's total key person policy on the son. It checks off the underwriting box for that, well within the ballpark of key person policy. And all they have to do is take a loan on that. It stays on the books of the business, and they literally hand over $150,000 to their new employee after 10 years. Super simple, easy to go home and explain to the spouse, this is my new job offer. If I stay here 10 years, I get 150 grand. They don't care. We don't have to do any awkward underwriting, say, come on board, but while we're here, we're going to go over some HIPAA stuff and get your underwriting going. Okay. It's a little awkward, and it's a little bit of a difficult process because now we have to learn what kind of health do they have, and maybe they're not healthy. This is easy. Very, very simple. Okay. All right. Any questions on that, by the way? I don't want to just zoom through here without asking any questions. I like being interrupted.
I think just for clarity's sake, some people will say it differently. So 7702, for reference sake, is the tax code for LIRPs, life insurance retirement plans, 7702 plans, overfunded cash value life insurance policies. And, once again, for those who might have only been in a world of IULs, you can technically do this with whole life too. So if the customer wants some more guarantees and stuff like that, don't try and put a square peg in a round hole. We have flexibility and opportunity from that too. So and all of these examples are just we have all the carriers, so they are free. So I know a lot of us look for free resources, and we'll take a gander at those next week too, just to reiterate, because some people did jump in a little late, but all of this stuff will be reemphasized as well. But I just want to kind of clarify, everyone says LIRP 7702 differently. It's all the same thing. It's all cash value life insurance with a focus on cash versus death benefit.
Yeah, and I want to actually expand on that a little bit more on why I call it 7702. But yeah, basically, the 7702 is the tax code that mimics the Roth. It mocks the Roth. It mimics a Roth. So when I explain this to people, so I'm going to real quick, let me go back to this upside down 3-tiered wedding cake, right? When I explain this, I say 401k, profit sharing. And then I'll say, then we can implement a 7702 plan. Why do I say 7702? Because we're dealing with tax code anyway. Let's speak the language that they want to hear, 7702. And the way I explain it is super easy on why we're using it. Instead, this is the exact words I say. Instead of using a traditional custodian like Schwab, Fidelity, whatever, that we would maybe use on the 401k plan, we're going to use a life insurance platform because it helps unlock the tax code 7702, which mimics a Roth. Okay, that's exactly the term the way I explain it. We're using a life insurance platform carrier that allows us to use it and we don't care about death benefit. We want to squash the death benefit down as much as humanly possible through proper plan design, through proper carriers. And when you do that, it allows us to push up the cash value as much as we can. That's how I explain that. And it checks off that they understand it pretty quickly. So I like to use tax code whenever I can, because again, the two things that business owners care about is growing their business and taxes, right? So thank you for clearing that up and bringing that up, Phil. Any other questions? All right, this is the fun one. All right, this is the high performing business owner. All right, traditionally doctors, lawyers, but obviously there's a million industries out there that there's people making a ton of money in every single industry out there. Question one: what are you doing? What are you doing this plan for? Why are you here? Why are you talking to us? What's your purpose? It's to save taxes almost every single time and to save for retirement. And then how much do you want to save? As much as humanly possible, because I have an enormous profit and I'm getting crushed on taxes. Okay. That is the answer 100% of the time when you come across the business like this. These are usually profits of 500,000 or more. Now, profit, everyone's got a little bit different explanation of profit. Profit means net of expenses, but before taxes. So net of taxes, or sorry, net of your expenses inside the business, and which includes payroll, including yourself, but before taxes. So I'll show that to you here in a minute. The goal of this plan design is all three layers of that upside down three layered wedding cake. Maximize everything you can and minimize everything you can to the employees. Implementation, we go through the same thing. Figure out who's the key employees, collect the census. We do that every single time. Watch, rinse, repeat. And we're going to do business valuation during the wrap up. We're going to try to do the buy-sell agreement. These are things that we might look at, and we're adding estate planning on the bottom. Okay, estate planning is really, really important here. And I know Phil is a genius on estate planning, so bring him in. Love it. So bring him in when you can't hear, because this is where it really picks up. Okay. So additional contributions was what they wanted to do, buy sell agreements, key person policies, all three layers, right? And when I say key, this is up here for the key person. This could be those executive benefit plans that we focus on the executives and the highly compensated employees and things like that. So same thing as the last one, except for talking about estate planning later. This is what the projection looks like from those contributions. $48 million, which is now above the estate tax levels, right? Now, this is in the year 2777, but this is just one account. I'm telling you, this is what $1 million per year required minimum distribution looks like from a balance standpoint when you're 75 years old. That's what it looks like. And if you have someone who's doing they're maxing out everything, that's what it's going to look like. Power of zero, power of zero. Okay. This is definitely a great idea to do. This is what their business valuation might look like. $800,000 in profit. When there's $800,000 in profit, that's after expenses, after they pay themselves the salary of $350,000, but before taxes. They have so much they don't know what to do with. And they are definitely in tax issue mode at this point, right? Okay, so I want to show you what these numbers actually look like. So this is a legitimate business that we have worked on recently. They are an S corp. I'm going to show you a lot of numbers here, so be ready. This is an S corp. The owner's salary was $285,000 for this one. They have 7 total employees. 2 of them are the owners, and 5 of them are the rank and file, the staff. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like. All right, so this is the makeup of the company. So we have owner's doing 285, the spouse is doing 300,000, and this is the staff. So you can see this word here, highly compensated employee. And then is these two up here, non-highly compensated are down here. Highly compensated employee are owners, children and spouse of owners, and anyone who makes over $155,000. Okay. The executives, the C-suite, the team that needs those executive benefits is everybody in the highly compensated level. And this is the rank and file. Okay. So all this is actually the 3 layers. Okay. This is the numbers, what it looks like. So we have spouses, or I'm sorry, excuse me, ownership, and then the 5 employees. This is that first layer of the upside down 3-layered wedding cake. We design it a certain way. This is how much, now keep in mind, this is 2020. So these contributions are not accurate to 2024, but this is a number that we ran on this specific client. So 19,500 for the spouse because she's under 50, and the husband was 19,500 plus the $7,500 catch up, right? Because he's over 50 years old. They maxed out that bottom layer. The next layer is the profit sharing, that middle tier on the upside down wedding cake. So there's reasons why these are only at $18,100. It's because we wanted to max out that third layer, and taxes was the biggest issue here, right? For them, that was like number 1 priority. They're allowed to put in $188,000 and $17,000 for the spouse. Again, there's reasons why annual testing, things like that, why the spouse wasn't able to do it. But we were able to give them $268,000 per year pre-tax contributions. That is probably like, that's $100,000 of taxes that we just saved them on this plan design right here. Okay. Now, sometimes we say, okay, let's look at the employees. Now we have to see, are you in the red or are you in the black? Everything in business is, are you in the red or are you in the black? Does this make sense? How much do we have to give to your employees? Okay. They had to give $17,600 to the staff. Okay. $17,660 to the staff so they could do that. This is extremely efficient. When we run these reports, we actually do an efficiency report, and it says you're able to take 93% of these contributions. And it says how much money you're going to pay in taxes, what's the net benefit. We run this every single time. A lot of the times, these numbers don't work out well. Okay, so let me show you how I got to that 17,660 real quick. This is the money that they put in that first bucket, that first bottom layer. This is their money, the employee's money, not the employer's money. This is the match that they give them. This is the profit sharing on the second layer that they have to give them. And this is all they have to do to give them a cash balance plan, which is another form of a defined benefit plan, also known as a pension. They only had to give them $1,000 per person. That's it. This is probably about one of the most efficient models I've ever seen. Now, I have seen a lot of time, maybe half the time, this is huge. This is an enormous number that they have to give to their employees, and it is not efficient. Okay. I will show you coming up here on where we want to move this to, but this is when we go into the non-qualified side. If it's inefficient, we move that amount, $268,000. We did this. We have someone who's max funding this at this much. They did it for 5 years. We showed them the projections. We showed them what their RMD amount's going to be, which is $1 million, and said, we need to pivot very quickly because we got to shut this cash balance plan down. And now we have to put in, we add this plus this, and we're putting in 300 grand per year into a non-qualified option now that is purely for the spouse and the owner. That's it. We're able to do that and pivot so we can start saying, let's get you some tax-free income because your RMD is absolutely ridiculous. We flow all the money from the cash balance plan back into the 401k. And we are in the works of buying another life insurance policy inside the plan in order for them to be able to convert that over into a more tax. It's almost like a Roth conversion. So super high level stuff. I'm not expecting you guys to know all this after this meeting today, but these are things that just they show up after running the numbers, walking through that regular process of what is available and doing the same thing over and over again. If you go through the consultation, the implementation with the plan design and gathering all this information, running those projections, all these things just come up. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're huge. And this is ended up being a very, very large opportunity. And this is when the ones that come up, there's estate planning opportunities on this client right here. Absolutely. Estate planning that we're in the works with talking with them. Very, very big opportunities when you go down these routes. So these are believe it or not, this is all the case studies I wanted to show you, because there is no, once you start adding this non-qualified, we tell them there's no limit. They have $800,000 of profit for this client. They have no limit. They can put in whatever they want as long as the numbers make sense. You run those projections, and then that's it. Any questions on that one? There was a lot of information on that one.
Yeah, Matt, real quick.
Yeah.
So two things. One, point of clarification, and one, just for some people who don't know what they are. So if you could explain a little bit of what you can fund inside a cash balance part of the plan. But two, and this one, I wanted to make sure I heard you correct. For high net worth individuals or people with high profit, there's an opportunity to put a 7702 plan inside of a 401k. Did I hear that right?
Yep. Yep. So let's start with the first question, right? You can put up to 275,000 as of I think it's 275,000 and change in for 2024 into a cash balance plan. That's the maximum. It is age based. So the older they are, the better. The younger they are, it's not so great. But if you have someone in their 40s or 30s even, you are breaking the 6-digit mark. Okay. You are breaking the 6 mark. I told you guys this in one of the first 2 weeks. We had a dentist that we talked to, and they did not, it ended up being a very inefficient. They had to give so much money to the employees that we couldn't do this layer or a cash balance plan. All we did was give them this, and then we did 100. It was so inefficient because it was a young 35-year-old dentist, and everybody else was in their 50s and 60s. It doesn't work out that well. It just walks you right into a 7702 plan. It literally walks them right down into it. Okay. There's so many opportunities that I could literally explain. I have dozens of different situations that explain why a 7702 works in the business world when you have employees. There's so many opportunities. So I think we just kind of like keep talking about it, bring up situations. I talked to one of your guys, Phil, earlier today. Opportunity, but they're all different because every single business is different. Now,
and real quick before you jump
please.
into the next part, just once again for everybody, this is why you leverage those who will make you better, right? So if we're saying, hey, get in with business owners, there's a lot of opportunity, and you're afraid, you don't know what to say. Well, guess what? You have the right resources and the tools to help you get over those initial hurdles to get you where you need to be. And when you get into these type of sales, you're talking $200,000 in a annual premium for a LERP 7702 plan. Sweet mother of God, you guys think even from the commission standpoint for you guys. And then on top of that, more importantly, what you're doing for the business owner is you're giving them the value proposition, which they know other business owners and the referrals come in. And so it goes back to the mantra I always talk about: when you do right by your community will do right by you. And having these, you don't have to know exactly what to say, but the phrase of "it's not what you know, but who you know" is really important here, and understanding that, even though Matt's, in Hawaii, the guy gets up at like what, 5 Hawaiian
3:30.
time, 3:30. Oh, excuse me, to make sure he can come with us lower 48, slumming it, here in the 48. So you have the resources. This is a little bit of peacocking, but it's for a very important reason. Same
Yeah.
reason why when I do presentations, I talk about $100 million case. That's a Moby Dick kind of case. You're not going to see that maybe once in a lifetime in your career, but if you don't mention it, you don't know who could qualify for it. And it was Matt's presentation last week. Someone who was on was like, I'm gonna ask that question. It was just a simple question of, do you have the cookie cutter plan or do you have one that's custom designed? And he's like, well, it's with Fidelity, so it's a cookie cutter plan. And it intrigued him to say, would you be interested in hearing some custom designs? Absolutely. Every business owner wants to know their options. And that's where all you have to do is give a little bit of information and it'll go a long way. And we have that value proposition here. It's not what you know, but who you know. And teamwork makes the dream work. So we'll pass it back to you, man.
Yeah, yeah. Like this is a fire hose amount of information that I'm sending over to you guys. It's not something that you just learn overnight. It's just my goal is to give you the tools to find those people and then you work the process. Okay. I'm not asking you to do the process on your own too. I would love to be a part of those conversations so we can uncover all this stuff. But it's a regular part of the program. Business owners. I'm not saying go whale hunting, go elephant hunting, because it's hard to get into those huge companies. One, there's a board of directors. There's a million, maybe there's a CFO, maybe there's the office manager. The gatekeepers are phenomenal, just everywhere when you get into these huge plans. So you want to find the sweet spot, the closely held companies under 50 employees if you can, and find an industry to get into it. So going back to this thing here, this resource page that you all have access to, find a niche and run with it. Learn everything you possibly can about that niche and dig in and that's how, if you have a community and you want to do all the architectural firms in that community, you walk into a business, say, I handle all the architecture firms in our region for the 401k plans. I don't think we handle yours. Let me show you what you can do with a custom plan versus a prototype plan. Here's a brochure. This is literally here for you. There's no branding at all. It's all you. And let's talk about it. Do you know any other architecture firms? And then you start flowing down from those architecture firms. Okay, what else do you know? All right, well, they handle flooring companies. Let's talk to all the flooring companies. It's just this downhill. Start at one point and flow downhill. And then next week, we have John Hancock coming on board to explain the lead gen. And you can literally search architecture firms in whatever area you want, and every single 401k plan, wherever you want, who has a 401k is going to be there. And you know the name of the company. It's all public record. And this is a great free prospecting tool. You are not paying for leads. It's free. You literally have as many leads as you want. You just have to use your sales skills on that. So, okay. Now your second question, Phil, was putting a policy inside of a qualified plan, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So this is a pretty high level strategy, usually for estate planning level clients. It's called a qualified swap. All right. That's a kind of like a general term. There's some coin phrases. You need actuaries, which we have actuaries that we work with. Okay. So we'll bring those to the table, and they are extremely life insurance friendly. Okay. They actually will illustrate this comes from them. They add another column for this. Okay. It's literally in your hands when you use it. Okay. So qualified swap. Let's say you have a plan with $4 million in it, and then you have a plan, and then you have non-qualified assets with another whatever 10 million outside. Doesn't matter, right? It has to be at least what you have in the plan outside of the plan. So inside of the upside down 3-tiered wedding cake, coming back to this, assuming this is the cash balance plan, it's called this. Okay, cash balance plan is up here. You can use 50% of the money to purchase a policy inside the cash balance plan, or 100% of seeded money in the profit sharing plan. So seeded means you shut down your cash balance plan, like we talked about, and you rolled into your profit sharing plan. We do that all the time. It's normal operations. The average lifespan of a cash balance plan is like 7 years, because it's a lot of cash flow going into it. It is a ton of cash flow and liquidity that you have to have. So it's like stressful for them. So you put in, so there's $4 million inside the plan, and then you have $4 million outside of the plan. Okay. You move, let's say you put $4 million inside the profit sharing plan. Okay. Sorry. What's that mean? There's $4 million that you put into a policy inside of the plan. When you purchase a IUL inside of a plan, or inside of any policy, what happens to the cash value right off the bat? It drops down a little bit, right? It drops down because you're purchasing the life insurance policy. So this is when estate planning is really good. So let's say it drops down to $3 million. So you put $4 million over the course of like 5 years, and it drops down the availability. There's a certain calculation they use, but let's just call it the cash value is $3 million. I think somebody needs to mute. Are we good there? Okay. So it goes down to 3 million. Sorry, I was losing my train of thought. So you put in 4, goes down to 3 million, right? You put 3 million into a grantor trust outside the non-qualified assets that are outside of the 401k plan or the profit sharing plan. You put in 3 million and you swap the two. And then after the index, Pacific Life is phenomenal for this. It's one of them. They have a 5-year index. Okay. So at 5 years, right before the 5 years, you swap that money out, and the 3 million jumps back up because the index hits. So you started with 4, dropped to 3 because you purchased it. The IRS looks at it as the cash value is 3. You put the grantor trust full of $3 million, you swap it. Now this bumps up. This is now still down at 3 million. You effectively just took out 25% of your qualified assets, tax-free 100%, that you'll never, ever have to pay taxes on. It's called a qualified swap. Phenomenal estate planning strategy. Makes sense? Clear as mud.
It's trippy. I'll rely on you for that one, but that's amazing.
You need a administrator, and you need a actuary.
So basically call you.
Mm-hmm.
I was say Roshi's asking to repeat it. I'll save you, Matt. We won't repeat that. If you want to watch it on the YouTube channel over and over and over again, because I'll need to do that too. So that's where, once again, having the right person involved is going to save you guys in the long run. So
Yeah, it's a big strategy. It's one of those, like you said, I can't remember the terminology you said, but it comes up every once in a while. It's something that that would be a great tool for someone who's got too much money pre-tax. I mean, think about it this way. It's like an ultra mega backdoor Roth conversion. If you've heard of that strategy, the mega backdoor Roth conversion, it's like a much higher level than that. So, any other questions? That's all that's all the case studies. I'm excited for next week, um, to go into all the tools that we have, Bill. There's just all sorts of stuff
I'm
that I want to
stoked.
show.
As long
Yeah.
as Nick will give us some time. So, but
Nick. Yeah, I'm gonna Nick from John Hancock next week is going to go over how to use, I assume you can see this
yep.
tool here and how to register, but you can go ahead and try register for access and then you'll get in there and then you'll be able to start searching. Um, this just real quick too. This is a great podcast to start listening to just to get in the mindset of a business owner. This is a good tool that I negotiated cost down for you guys because I know the owner of this software. It literally, for those really high net worth clients, you literally say, hey, you qualify for R&D tax credits because you have a research and development department. Here's a brochure on it, and here's a partner that I work with to be able to do it. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking high level stuff that you can film debt financing. You can invest in Hollywood films and get a 4-to-1 tax deduction. It's stuff that no one has really heard about, and it's in there, and it's a great tool to have it in the back of your hand. So I negotiated a lower cost for that for everybody, but I think these are what's going to get you in the door alongside the prospecting tools. So we'll go a little bit further into that, but a lot of the stuff I've showed you are inside these brochures, kind of on a lower level. So it's just get the conversation going. It just starts the conversation. That's all that matters.
So
All
a
right.
question popped in to the chat real quick. How much net worth should one have for the old swapperoonie?
I personally think because you can do this at like $1 million too. It doesn't have to be massive, but I would think 5 million is probably a smart idea. The other thing is you got to make sure there's a lot of non-qualified assets outside the plan, because just from a uh, compliance side of things, you can't put all your liquid non-qualified money inside of a life insurance policy. It's not going to happen. So you need to, I'd say 5 million total is probably a good route. Um, yeah.
So Matt, you've probably done one of these swaps then for yourself already. It's
Oh, yeah.
you
No,
know,
I
not
wish.
not yet. You're in the
No,
you're in the 5 year period right now.
yeah, I'm
So
within that 5 year period there. Yeah.
awesome.
That's going to be, I think that's best for the estate planning, like death benefit heavy stuff that you do, Phil,
Yeah.
not necessarily like the maximized cash value designs, because the goal is to just get money out so you can get it tax free to your kids instead of making them ante up when they pass away. Like a definitely
Well,
multi-generational strategy.
did you see the not to sidebar, but did you see Principal came out with a private switch dollar using an islet strategy for estate planning? Um, it's literally almost exactly what you're talking about, just using it for estate planning, like a $10 million death benefit. Basically, you're only getting the annual gift is the cost of insurance, almost like
Mm,
the ART, and
I did see
and then
that.
you swap it. Yeah, I actually it's here. I'll just put it in the it's pretty trippy. So if you want to be a nerd like me and just kind of look at some of the stuff that they got, it's in the newsletters that we get from Three Mark. So this was one of them, and it just kind
Mhm.
of talks about the swap strategy that you can do even with islets, having a donor and the beneficiary being the trust, things like that. So, but yeah, when you start talking about, it, I'm like that, man, that sounds very familiar. So, all great stuff, but yeah, I
Yeah,
don't, I
this
don't
is,
see.
yeah, split dollar. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So, don't see any other questions. What I would say is again, all this is great information. We are drinking from a fire hose, but the more you hear it, the more you see it, the easier it's going to be, and things will start to connect almost like a giant spider web. So, everything that Matt is saying is, and I think the one thing that I'll underline from all this, all of you guys who are still paying attention, write down your prospects. Let's set up a time with Matt so we can actually start putting some points on the scoreboard. Okay. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Matt's not doing this for his health either. So let's find opportunities here. Business owners, say you got a business of 5, 10, or even one that you know very, very well, one that is okay to make mistakes with. Doesn't have to be Google or Microsoft. We're not whale hunting, but pick
Right.
the right company that you have a great relationship with. Say, hey, I got some really cool ideas that I want to share with you that can help you save on taxes potentially, also help you save for retirement. You got 30 45 minutes and we can have a conversation and then, start talking about some stacks. So, you got myself. Matt is very open as well. And every time you talk about 3-layer wedding cakes, I get hungry. So
It's almost dinner time, right?
I know exactly.
Almost lunchtime for
So,
me, but
oh jeez. Well, we'll go out on the beach and break open a coconut and do whatever you guys do out there. But uh,
exactly like that. That's what we do every day.
that's what everyone does, right? After you're done here, you're gonna go out surfing, right? Hang 10, baby.
Yeah. Taka.
So, all right, guys. Well, always great opportunity. Thank you so much, Matt. We'll see you
Thanks,
same
Phil.
bat time, same bat channel next week. Everyone have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Phil.
See ya.